Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com, and I am back with a second video on the first video I did yesterday on warrant singer Jani Lane. Okay, at the time that I was doing the video, I kept getting the song Smoke on the Water, and that's why I said Deep Purple. That's the first thing. The second thing is the middle daughter of Jani's is the youngest on earth, but there is a younger one on the other side. Okay, so this to me means perhaps a miscarriage or a termination, but there were 3 daughters altogether. And it is the middle one, which is the youngest one, that he communicates with. So the baby of the family at this point. That's that, to clarify that. I said the band Deep Purple, and I meant Judas Priest and the Eagles. I heard the Eagles very clearly. I don't know. Someone has to tell me what that, but I heard them very clearly, like outside voice outside of my head. Usually I hear it inside of my head and I'm kind of directed toward, but at the same time I'm hearing that song Smoke on the Water, Fire in the Sky, and then I said Deep Purple like that. That's what happens to me. So Jani Lane is a really great example of how information comes through, and it can quicken or slow down, and the medium or the receiver of the information has to be able to convey it by following the strands of thought. And sometimes they're all over the place. Like a song will play in my head, but I'm thinking of another band and I say this. So a lot of times I'm saying stuff because you're slightly in an altered state. You're slightly in an altered state. Now, I did want to talk in his instance with the trauma that he suffered, because I did get that he was drugged and he did suffer the trauma. That's not a lie. That's not made up. We now know, because this is 2024 and he passed away a long time ago, this is 2024. We now know that the music industry is an industry that uses tonality and frequency in order to control the mindset of people. So there's all kinds of music out there. Obviously, your grandparents listen to one thing, your parents another, your kids another, and different groups of kids listen to different music. I mean, all the way from classical to, frequency tone music, like DJing music. I don't know what you call it, like the Daisy festival music, that kind of thing. So just like beats and tone, because they access frequencies within the chakra system or within the spirit body. And as such, if you are a talented musician on any level, like Jani Lane or any of them, and you're able to have charisma and step out into the public eye, and you have an ability, they're going to come after that ability because they are jealous. And who is they? People ask me all the time. Who are these people? The theys, the whatever, the whomevers. They are the people that control, the controllers. I'd say the slave owners of this planet, but the controllers of the world. The way that they want to corral people to think. They need a mass media platform to do so. Television was one. The arts and entertainment, that's why they're in every school. The school systems, there's indoctrination of people and their thinking. They tell you this. If you live in California, it's quite different than living in the Midwest, than living in the UK, because the public system of indoctrination is different in all of those areas. With the American and all over the world music industry, they use the frequency of their musicians. So the tone, the voice, the charisma, the ability to get people to follow, they use it with frequency. Now, how do you control another human being? Well, you can get them addicted to drugs. You can get them addicted to alcohol. You can get them addicted to all kinds of things in order to become a slave to their addictions or their lustful thinking, like whatever it is that they want, their perversions, their mindset. And how do you access a human being? By getting them to drop their guard energetically. How do you do that? Drugs and alcohol. So when these abuses are going on, a lot of the time the operator of the host body is not even present in the energy field of the body. Okay, so the owner of the physicality of the body is over here in spirit while an entity steps in. And keep in mind, entities are there to throw you over the edge into addiction so that they can live through you, because they don't have a physical form. The music industry is just full of this. The musicians come out, and at first they're not sold out by that, and then they are indoctrinated into it, and they become spokes puppets through their music to corral people. That's actually what happens. So with Jani Lane, it's interesting because he's kind of in a beginning phase of that. Not necessarily. I mean, it's been around since the beginning of time. But he was unaware that it was happening to pretty much everybody around him. And he was so traumatized because he was so brutalized by what happened. And the reason that he continued to live in that dark place, when you have trauma, that is the gateway drug to addictions, okay, is trauma, especially sexual trauma, and especially when they sodomize somebody, because they are able to hook into the entire chakra system through that part of the body, and that is why they do it. And it immediately disassociates. So what happens when you have a disassociated person? When you have a disassociated person, somebody who's witnessed, say, a murder in front of them, somebody who's been traumatized as a child, somebody who is so traumatized by violence around them, like in a third world country where there's a war, when they disassociate, you can pretty much compartmentalize this person does this person does that. So in his particular case, the drinking was taking on the form of allowing him to disassociate from the constant ridicule and rumination that his mind brought him. Okay, so there was this kind of energy continually beating him the fuck up inside of his head. Okay, just continually reverberation and rumination, almost like OCD, going over the negative, over the negative, over the negative. And it's because, and I'll tell you what it's because, and this is why you have to be very careful. Is your career worth that? Like, at the second that happens, do you want to keep going? And I think this is how I feel with Jani's energy. I feel that he felt it was directed at him personally, and that it wasn't happening to other people. And in order to go forward and be what he wanted to be, he just swallowed that and never spoke about it, because he really thought it was not happening to other people. When he found out it was happening to other people, it was way too late. He was already physically connected to his addiction, as in he physically traumatized by the addiction that he had. So that behavior is very detrimental to a talented person. He knows the difference now. He knows the difference now. He can see it. He can see what it does karmically to other people. Oh God, itchy nose. He can see from the other side the way that it corrupts the chakra system on other creative people and what it does. And what it is, these creative people are born with an ability to be able to be charismatic and to communicate sort of telepathically. And if they can take that creative vibe and they can give credit to it for themselves, taking away from the person, that's what they're doing. They're shifting the energy like this so the person feels like garbage, and the only way that they got where they were was because of the abuse, which is not true. The abuse was done in an attempt to control them and to control the narrative of the frequency or the tone. That's actually what's going on. And so we have to really be careful, because I, like the rest of you, used to love to go to concerts, see musicians, see all kinds of things. But I have to be careful with it, because what is being done? Some of them are mass rituals. Some of them are done in jest. The general public thinks that it's just like a stick, like, you know, a costume that these musicians wear when they go out on stage, and they quicken the energy around them. You can tell by their hand movements and their hand gestures. And I'm a hand movie person, like I move my hands around a lot. But when you actually watch them and watch the symbology and watch the way they're directing the energy with their hands, I'm just doing it right there. the way that they're directing the energy in a particular way as if they have a wand. So they are raising tone and frequency and using physicality in order to draw attention to them, to gain energy and to gain, it's like vampiring energy without them. Well, actually, some of them are vampires. They recycle in and out and in and out. Reincarnation is another word for recycling the same energy. And these battles have been going on generation after generation after generation. And a lot of the entertainers are stuck in the belief, this is not true, but stuck in the belief. Very few are sold out to the point where they are the undead. I've seen a couple where I've seen them and I'm like, they're never crossing over. They're going to keep being in this earth. The problem that's going on right now on earth is that the earth is actually there. They are dead and will not ascend to the next dimension, but they are very invested in having us stay here, because without us, they cannot shine, they cannot live, they cannot breathe. Once we ascend up energetically to another frequency, they cannot use our frequency because they cannot cross it. So they die out here. We ascend and it becomes a new world, and their names just fall off the tip of our tongue. So part of the reason that Jani passed away when he did at the age of 47 was to give his soul a chance to rehab itself and to reverberate in its authenticity, which is what he's done now. So he is on the other side. He is aware of it, but he is not stuck in this continual repetition that's going on right now. Like a lot of the musicians that are out there right now are going to be caught up in the repetition of everything that's going on. So it's really interesting energetically to feel it. This little video was a quick video on that, and I wanted to say again with Jani Lane, when I said the 3 daughters, there's one on the other side, there's the middle daughter who's the baby here, and the oldest daughter who's obviously the oldest. Also wanted to say, I was thinking of the song Smoke on the Water, Fire in the Sky, and I said Deep Purple, and I meant Judas Priest. That is what I meant. And I even said Judas Priest when I got off the camera, assuming I said it. So it is Mercury retrograde, so I make these fucked up mistakes during Mercury retrograde. Anyway, this is my quick little in between the music industry explaining what happened with Jani's video yesterday. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.